Welcome to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, the podcast for high achievers who want to stay sharp, focused, and full of energy despite their diagnosis. With your host, National Board Certified Functional Medicine Health Coach, Julie Michelson, where Julie helps you take your power back from autoimmunity. And now here's your host, Julie Michelson.
Welcome back to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast. I'm your host, Julie Michelson, and today we're joined by Dr. Robert Floyd, the Paleo MD, and we're talking about how the standard American diet is driving illness and how the Paleo lifestyle supports wellness. We go deep in this episode about the importance of mitochondrial health and how what we eat truly powers our cells. Rob, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's so much fun. So already we've had a great time talking. So
we have. If we had hit record, we probably had a full episode there in that conversation.
Totally.
So I am thrilled to have you here. This is such a passionate topic of mine. And I just can't wait to dive into it. I love to start with story because I'm guessing when you went to medical school, you didn't have the intention of becoming the Paleo MD.
No, I did not. Absolutely not. I went to med school to become an orthopedic surgeon, but, wasn't cool enough to get in that club. It's very difficult. And so then I ended up I have a very varied background of through medicine. I've done trauma surgery, ICU medicine, family medicine, emergency medicine. I was a medical director in a rural ER clinic or hospital. Then I discovered functional medicine, and I used to live not too far from you. I used to live in Boulder, Colorado, and that's where I kind of discovered holistic integrative complementary medicine back then. As an athlete, I got shiatsu, I got acupuncture, I ate, took herbs and so on and so forth. And so functional medicine was really just a wonderful extension of how I've already been for many, many years. So,
which is amazing. But you're not just practicing functional medicine. We're going to talk about, and I'm going to try not to get angry in our conversation today. Certainly it won't be at you, but we're going to really dig into the standard American diet, which is sad, doesn't even begin to, it is so sad. But how did you specifically, embrace the paleo lifestyle and realize that was a key for people?
Like we had spoken about before we recorded, I basically went from fit to fat and fit and back again. When I was living in Boulder, I was, like I said, a climbing guide and a ski patroller. And, I was really into health and wellness. And then I went to medical school. And when I left for medical school, actually, I was living in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, skiing, mountain biking, building trails every day. I was 155 pounds, probably like 8-9% body fat. And then I went to medical school, and a couple things happened. My metabolism came to a screeching halt, and I was full of stress. And because of that, I put on almost 30 pounds. I came back from med school 187 pounds or something like that. And I mean, I vividly remember sitting in biochemistry class. This was my second semester there. And I looked down, I'm like, oh my God, I had a gut. And I've never had that before because I've always been active and fit. And so, I wasn't eating the best, and I was, like I said, stressed. And so, long story, try to shorten a little bit. I came back and I did what I thought I needed to do. I did caloric restriction, exercise, and yada, yada, yada. And, I lost a few pounds here and there, but didn't really get me back to my pre-med school weight. And then I went to residency for 5 years. And then I came back from that, again, I was back up to about 190 pounds even though I was like exercising more, but I was still eating what I thought
You
was
couldn't
healthy.
exercise your way out of a bad diet?
No,
What?
you can't outrun your fork. No, absolutely not. And that's another great book. You can't
That is
outrun
a
your
good.
fork. Um, but and then I started actually. I kind of I'll give a shout out to Rob Wolf. I read
Yeah.
the Paleo Solution, and like I said, I thought I was eating well. I thought I was eating what was healthy. In Colorado, I was vegan for a week. That's all I could handle for that. And then I was
Well,
a
that's
vegetarian
probably
for
good.
yeah, totally. Then I was a vegetarian for like 6 or 7 years, and but I realized too is like this is not a healthy diet. Vegan and vegetarian diets, unless you're really, 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 really good at eating and picking whole healthy foods, the majority of the people who undertake these diets are eating a bunch of processed garbage.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the standard American diet we should just rename it as poison. It's what it is. It's poison.
It's
It's
not
literally
food.
poison.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I love that.
So
So the finding paleo for you was a big answer and feeling
absolutely,
healthy again.
it was an eye opener, and I didn't even like understand it. And then real quick, I was sitting there at my kitchen table reading this and talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, Kim, and I like what he says in his book. He's like, give it 1 month, try it for 1 month. What do you have to lose? Absolutely nothing. What do you have to gain? Everything. Right. And so I'm sitting there reading. I'm like, Kimmy, we need to do this. We should try this. We should try this. She's like, no, no, no. I'm like, we should try this. Really? Next week we should try this. She's like, no. She had some, hesitation and trepidation. And so finally she's like, all right, fine. All right, leave me alone. Okay, we'll do
You'll
it.
be quiet. I'll try it.
Exactly. So we kind of instituted it. We went pretty much all into the whole paleo lifestyle. Again, it's not just a diet, it's a lifestyle. You have to
Thank
have a
you.
lifestyle. And I will say over and over and over, and in my program, which I'll discuss a little bit later, uh, I say this, if I say it once, I say it 100 times. Diets fail, lifestyles don't. Okay. You cannot, like we just said, you can't diet your way out of a bad, lifestyle. You can't exercise your way out of a bad diet, and so on and so forth. But so a couple weeks into trying this paleo solution, lifestyle that we did, my wife was blown away. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe how much better I feel. Um, and so she was like, it's weird because like what I see, and you never hear guys say, "Oh, I'm so bloated. I'm so bloated," right? When's the last time you heard a guy say that, right? But it seems like a lot of women will say that, and she's like, her bloating and her gut pains went away, and she was blown away. So, and that's when I kind of started going down a really big rabbit hole of research and researching and researching and researching, and changed my life. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I live what I teach, and I went through it. And so I've been there. So
I love it. It's amazing. And I can tell from our conversation before we even hit record, you're as passionate about it as I am. And that's what happens when, we are living it, and we know, we just realize. I love that you didn't have to be as sick as I was to get and we could have a whole different interview about why is medical school designed to make you sick? That's a whole nother thing. And it's not just in this country. I had the same conversation. I did a presentation for a bunch of physicians in Pakistan, and same thing. It's between the stress and the lack of sleep and the bad food and all of it.
mm-hmm.
But that's a maybe downstream change that will
happen.
happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to come and talk more about lots of different stuff, because it's like, again, you and I, we're so in alignment about what we see needs to be done in the world. And so, you had asked earlier about like why and what does the standard American diet lead to? There was a journal article from the American College of Cardiology last summer that said 93.2% of all adult Americans are sick.
That's insane.
93.2%. Okay, so basically, statistically, you can say the entire American adult population is sick. And when they say sick, they're talking about, they have 2 or 3 or 4 symptoms of metabolic syndrome, high cholesterol, enlarged hip to waist ratio, high blood pressure, insulin resistance, dyslipidemia. And, if one thing that a lot of people don't know, I just described the 5 tenets of the 5 symptoms of metabolic syndrome. And if you have any 3 of those,
right,
you are diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. And so basically the entire adult population in America has metabolic syndrome. And if you are diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, you instantly have a 50% greater mortality risk. So to me, it infuriates me. It makes me so mad that we have gotten this way. And like I asked you earlier before you started recording, I said, how do we get here?
right.
And I mean, I think you and I both know the answer, but
We do. We do. We'll wait until your book comes out for that to really dig into that conversation, or this will be a 3-hour episode.
for sure.
But really underscoring that if you are eating processed food, highly processed food, lots of processed food, eating on the go, even generally eating out a lot, even at nice places, you're still getting hit with a lot of crap.
Mm-hmm.
You're not eating food. And so why do we need, why does that make us sick when we're eating things our body's not recognizing as food? What happens?
Well, really, truly, I think it all boils down mostly to the mitochondria. And a lot of people maybe have heard about it, and they've maybe heard about the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain and so on and so forth. But I really truly believe that all of this chronic disease is rooted in mitochondrial disease. The mitochondria, just for those of you who don't know or don't remember, I'm sure you've heard
Or
of it.
don't care, but you will now.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's the thing. It's one of the sad things about what I see is like people are purposely being dumbed down so that they are easier to manipulate and so on and so forth. And then because of that, they don't have any agency over their health and wellness. I mean, I can get very circular. So anyway, go back to the mitochondria. So the mitochondria are we have 70 trillion cells in our human body, and the mitochondria are the little powerhouses of the cell. Okay. And depending on how metabolically active a tissue is, you have more mitochondria. So in one cell, I remember, and I used to think this, you had a cell, you had a nucleus, and you had one mitochondria. No, absolutely not. Not even close. It's like anywhere from, 5,000 to 100,000 mitochondria in each cell. In fact, we have a quadrillion mitochondria in our body, and that is a 1,000 trillions or some enormous number like that. I mean, it's a number that we can't even comprehend, right? I mean, think about 70 trillion cells. We can't even comprehend how many cells we have in our body. Sure. So the mitochondria, they take substrates and they take, sugar, pyruvic acid, fatty acids. Let me explain real quick because I love the mitochondria. I think they're absolutely spectacular and amazing, and they're way underrated. We actually, millions of years ago as humans, we kind of hijacked them. They're from bacteria. They don't have the DNA. They don't have your human DNA in it. Right. Okay. So somehow nature, God, whatever, however you want to go about it in evolution, because they can both coexist. Right. And so we hijacked mitochondria because we saw how efficient they were at making energy. Right. And so it's kind of like your motor, your engine in your car. You put gasoline in it, it runs, it takes you somewhere. The same thing with the mitochondria. You put a substrate into it, it does its magic, and out comes ATP. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. It is the energy currency of our cells, of our human bodies. Without ATP, you die like in a second. Okay, you're dead. And here's something crazy. ATP is a molecule. It's microscopic. You can't really see it. It's tiny. It's invisible, basically, unless it's, super, super high microscope. We make our own body weight in ATP every day.
That's insane.
So, yeah, think about that. I make 155 pounds of ATP every single day from my quadrillion mitochondria.
Hopefully.
Yes. Well, I know I do.
You do, but
Yes.
but the
Yeah.
royal we.
Yes.
We want to optimally. We are producing our body weight in ATP daily.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
incredible.
And so again, when that's a great point you make, because when you don't make that, then that's when disease starts occurring.
Right.
And when you have mitochondrial diseases, there's primary mitochondrial diseases, and people with those don't live very long. They don't live beyond 7, 8, 9, 10 years old because they're so bad. When you have what we're discussing here, this is a secondary mitochondrial disease because you're not putting, top unleaded fuel in your motor to have it run smoothly. You're putting the standard American diet, which is junk food and poison and processed foods. And because of that, then the mitochondria can't do what they do and give us the energy that we need. And it's clean energy. I mean, granted, it's just like your car engine. You put gasoline in it, it does its internal combustion, and out the back end comes exhaust while you're driving. The same thing happens with the mitochondria. It's basically internal combustion through the electron transport chain, making ATP, giving you energy, but it also makes reactive oxygen species, which are kind of like the exhaust.
Right.
But our bodies are so genius. We have millions of different processes to get rid of this internal combustion exhaust from the mitochondria. But when you are eating these terrible processed foods, high fructose corn syrup foods, franken foods, things that your body doesn't know how to break down through your mitochondria, you get increased amount of reactive oxygen species and a decreased amount of basically antioxidants, which get rid of those and they neutralize those. And then you get sick. And it's not rocket science. I do love it. Is science, though. It's awesome science. So
it is. And to have this conversation be of value, you don't need to be able to fully understand all of the processes, but you do need to understand pretty much the symptoms, especially audiences as an autoimmune audience, right? So when you're thinking I'm fatigued, well, guess what, at the cellular level you're fatigued. Your mitochondria are not optimized and working optimally, so you're not going to have the energy. But it's not just our energy to get through the day. We're talking about the literally cellular energy for all of your body processes to work the way they're supposed to. And then add on top of it, when you've got the high oxidative stress and all the other things leading to disease as well. So it is important to understand, how essential mitochondrial health is, even if you don't feel like understanding how or why. But it really is. And just the fact that they are the powerhouse of the cell, like that's all. Who doesn't need that? You want to be optimizing your power. We're focusing today on food, and we're going to talk about, we've been talking about how the American food system is not food. And I think of it, I want to talk about a couple things that do affect mitochondrial function and health. The nasty standard American diet being one of them, and toxins. And I consider the standard American diet to be toxins. I mean, it's this, that's what they are. I mean, that's what it is, what you're eating. Your body isn't recognizing as food because it's not food. Yeah. And so it is the same as a chemical exposure. Well, and plus it's loaded with chemicals anyway.
Absolutely. And like I said earlier, like the standard American diet, it should be just called poison. I want to figure out an anagram for poison to describe our diet, because it's so bad. It's, I know I kind of see where you're going with like what you were just talking about, like why is the standard American diet so bad for us? And because it affects our mitochondria health. Like I said, when you're not putting in high quality substrates into your body, it doesn't run well. I really like, earlier you had mentioned, like, even you don't need to know the science to
Right.
understand how this helps you. And
Right.
I equate it, and I think it's really, really good to think of the mitochondria as the engine in your car, like I've said
Right.
already.
Absolutely.
If you put, top high-end fuel and change the oil and change the spark plugs in your engine, it's going to run well forever. It's going to get you everywhere you want to go sitting down. It's going to last forever. If you put low quality gas, you don't change the oil and you don't change the spark plugs and you don't do the maintenance, then your car is going to break down and it's going to cost you a lot of money. And you're going to be taking a bus somewhere else. And it's the same thing here with us, with our health. If you don't maintain mitochondrial health, and in doing so, you maintain overall health, because
Right.
what you do for your mitochondria also improves the rest of your
It's your
systems.
whole body. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love, like, to me, it reminded me of a conversation I had once of, you wouldn't put unleaded fuel in your diesel engine, right? What's going
Yeah.
to happen to your car?
Yeah.
You're not going to get very far.
It's going to break down real quick.
It's not fun for anybody to use the wrong pump. And that's essentially what it is. I mean, we need nutrient density. We're designed to actually eat real food. And so it's a double-edged sword, right? We've got this like toxic, unrecognizable thing. And then also we're missing the nutrient density that we need to run.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and that's a great term, nutrient density. People don't even think about that. Like, you go to Taco Bell, there's no nutrients in that food. You go to McDonald's, there's no nutrients in that food. Like 75% of all the foods in the grocery store are processed foods.
yeah,
And the standard American diet is nutrient deficient and caloric dense, right?
right,
And that's just the opposite of what we need. We need nutrient density and low calories. I'm not
right.
saying low calorie diet's the
And
best
we
way to
don't
go.
have to count calories. We're not
Oh
talking
God,
about
no.
counting calories.
Absolutely not. No,
Yeah.
I actually, and I don't even, there's a lot of people out there that like to count their macros and this and that. I'm like, I don't
If
even
it
bother doing
supports
that.
you, I can't be bothered. Yeah,
Exactly. But if that's what you like doing, go for it. And here's the deal. If it helps you be more focused on what you're eating and how you're treating your body,
right,
all the power to you. Like, a lot of
right.
times these quote diets, it just makes people more cognizant of what they're eating sometimes, and which is a good
Right.
thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, we talk about, eat whole food, eat real food, and a lot of people, it's like, sounds like noise. But it's not, it's real. And this is, if you look at the health history in our country, look at when we moved away from real food, right? And then look at the numbers, literally, of chronic illness. I mean, it's exponential. Sadly, I've got job security, unfortunately, right?
yep.
But here's the beautiful thing too, and I know, this is what you preach. It's never too late, and the body heals. So course correct,
Mhm.
right? Change. So, is there anybody that you would say paleo is not an optimal eating lifestyle, or the paleo lifestyle
No,
isn't
God, no.
optimal?
No, I think it's the most optimal lifestyle for everybody. Again, it's not a diet, and diet is part of a lifestyle.
Right.
For paleo, I don't think there's anybody, who, could not benefit from the paleo slash diet slash lifestyle, because it's whole foods. It's, you're avoiding gluten, dairy, sugar, and seed oils and other toxins in your diet, and you're eating whole foods. You're eating vegetables, steamed vegetables. You're avoiding most grains. You're avoiding most legumes. And one of the reasons why I did the whole paleo, and why I've become what I've become, and I believe gut health. Obviously, all about gut health. Anybody in our field knows how important gut health is. And
Well, and if you have autoimmunity and you have not done the work to heal your gut, you have leaky gut. Like I
100%. Yeah.
Period.
If you eat the standard American diet, you have leaky gut, which is intestinal permeability, it's the root cause of all diseases right now. That and it causes harm to the mitochondria, and so back to the whole paleo. I don't think anybody would have any negative effects if they went to paleo. And my ethos is gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, seed oil-free, and artificial sweetener-free. Right. Artificial sweeteners are toxins. Okay. Most people don't know that aspartame was invented when they were trying to make another um, pesticide.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know what guy in the lab was inventing a pesticide and tasted it. Hey, this is sweet.
Right.
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 But someone did. And so it's a pesticide. And because of that, it harms your microbiome. And that's a whole nother conversation we have, how important the microbiome is. And so what I like about paleo is it supports your microbiome. It supports healing your gut. And again, it's a lifestyle. I was talking to you, and I have a small ranch. You have a small ranch. I raise sheep. I raise meat chickens. I raise egg chickens. We sell our sheep from farm to table for friends and family. It's all organic. They're grass fed. And the paleo lifestyle is about that. It's also about, where did your animals come from? Were they humanely raised and slaughtered? Did they come from a CAFO, which is a concentrated animal feed operation, which is absolutely the devil? It's terrible for everybody. Does where your food's coming from, are these people being treated fairly? Are they being paid well? Is it fair trade? Is it organic? I mean, it's a lifestyle that you have to embrace because, again, you and I've spoken about this, like we've been so
misled.
We're like,
it's a very polite way.
Yes, we've been bamboozled to think that convenience is what it's all about and yada yada yada. It's actually killing us. I mean, it's despicable, and frankly, it pisses me off. And there's times I literally come to tears.
It's horrifying, and because you see and I see all the time. I mean, there is so much chronic illness, and it's unnecessary. Like this is not. It's not rocket science,
and it's not the way it's supposed to be.
No, and you brought up a point I want to highlight about this, the difference of we talk about it sometimes as quality, but talk about animals that are pastured, humanely raised, humanely slaughtered. That is completely different. Again, I grew up low fat. I have no interest in another boneless, skinless chicken breast my whole life. I actually don't eat a lot of chicken. I only can handle, I can only handle a little, but I do eat a lot of grass-fed beef.
Yeah.
And again, some people listening are going to say, I don't live in Colorado. Then that's fine. There are other ways to access high quality protein sources. I'm blessed. I know, the rancher who grew my cow that's in my freezer, and I know how it was raised. I got to see the ranch, I know the people. And so not everybody is going to have that level, but just like you were talking about how McDonald's isn't real food, that's a whole nother story about, beef is bad, red meat is bad. They're talking about feedlot meat, commercial
factory farmed meat. Yep.
Factory farmed meat. Totally different, literally different.
Well, and they also feed them,
grains,
paper stock. They feed them expired candy. They feed them garbage. I saw a video of a pork factory farm. They were literally feeding these pigs garbage from the dump with plastic containers in it. And there is literally a government document that says the pork feed can have this much plastic in it.
Right. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
So and I actually have to drive past a feedlot from my house to the clinic. I'm in the clinic once or twice a week, and otherwise I'm working from home. And again, I live in this beautiful area, and we've got access to these amazing things. And I mean, there's because you live, so I know you understand when somebody says smells like Greeley, even though you lived
Oh
in
yeah.
Boulder,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like
We
it's
used to get the
not
grilly smell.
natural. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the
When
wind
the
would
winds
shift,
came,
it would go
yep.
all the way down to Boulder.
When
That
the
is
winds,
not healthy. Nobody should be eating
no.
that kind of meat. And
And
yeah,
the thing is about the CAFOs. Okay. I mean, could be a whole nother podcast.
I
I mean, there's
know.
so much to unpack and all this stuff. And I mean, I love why we're doing this. Again, we'd spoken about why we're doing this, and it's to get the word out. It's,
Right.
The World Economic Forum and all these world leaders are talking about a great reset. Okay. And it's not what you and I want, but I think there's a
Right.
great reset coming, and it's from people like us, and the grassroots reset of COVID pulled back the curtain of the man pulling the levers, like in the Wizard of Oz, right?
Right. Right.
And a lot of us are like, have woken up. I think you and I were already kind of awake just because of the realms that we're in. But
Right.
I think a lot of Americans all of a sudden went like, oh my God, what's going on here? But
Yeah.
this applies to what we're talking about: food, meat, CAFO raised, concentrated animal feed operations. They are the devil. They're bad for the environment. They're bad for the animals. They're bad for the people that work there. They're bad for the people that eat the food.
Yeah.
They're just bad,
Bad.
bad, bad. You know what
Just
they're good
bad.
for? They're good for the corporate
Money.
profits. That's
Yeah.
it.
That's it.
Okay. And so what you were talking about earlier is, grass fed. The whole
Truly pastured, it is different, and there's nothing to be afraid of if you're eating protein that was raised this way, which is the perfect, you talk about paleo as a lifestyle. So if you're eating, commercial beef, feedlot beef, you're not eating paleo, because
oh God, no.
they're eating corn and grains and trash, and you are eating whatever the animal ate. And so that's how that works.
Including the antibiotics.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
80% of all antibiotics in the United States. Actually, I think it's gone down a little bit, because there's, like, in the hospitals, we had what was called antibiotic stewardship programs, right? We don't want to give antibiotics nilly-willy to just everybody. People come in with an upper respiratory infection, a sore throat. They're like, oh, can I have a Z-Pack? Can I have antibiotics?
Right.
We had to say, no, this is likely a viral issue.
Right.
Go home and help build your immune system, whatever, blah,
But
blah,
even
blah.
that's a course correct, because it used to be antibiotics for everybody all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in these CAFOs, because the conditions are so bad for the animals, I'm talking beef, chicken, pork, you name it, it's bad. They're so concentrated that they feed them antibiotics to keep them from, getting sick and then having some disease spread throughout the entire operation. They found out a long, long time ago that when you feed cows antibiotics, they get fatter faster. And this,
Right.
the same thing happens to humans. When you take put on weight, and there's actually studies that I include. I love doing the research because I'm so passionate about this. And they've shown, studies have shown that if you are exposed to antibiotics 9 times by the time you're 4, you have like a 90% chance of being overweight and obese. If you are exposed to antibiotics once as a child, you are at an increased risk of being overweight. And so these big corporations who are there to make money off of you,
Right.
they understand, hey, if I feed these cows antibiotics, they're going to get fat. And guess what? I could sell, they cost more to buy, and then we butcher, and then blah, blah, blah. And so,
Right.
it's all about, the lifestyle. And again, I could go on and on about the whole, oh, cows are causing climate change. That's the biggest crock of horse
Yes.
pucky ever.
Feedlots
Yeah.
are causing climate
Yes.
change, not cows. We need the cows.
There is, and I love this.
Try farming without animals. It doesn't work.
No. And, I love the whole regenerative farming and regenerative agriculture that's going along, with polyface farms, and, Joel Salatin.
He's amazing. We were talking before, and it gives me hope, right? We were talking about, this is why we're doing this. And yes, we're angry. And yes, we've all been bamboozled, and you and I now know better, and we're trying to spread the word. But there is hope. The regenerative farming movement, functional medicine, Paleo Lifestyle, all of it. And my audience is very familiar with AIP, autoimmune paleo. I think whatever form, but I joke when I tell my story, I thought I was paleo. I say I was doing it wrong. I thought I was. So I was, it's not, you talk about lifestyle, it's back to, it's not just what you're avoiding, it's what you're including, right?
For sure.
So or what you might not be including. In my case, when I first thought I was paleo, I was, again, fat phobic. And I remember getting like paleo cookbooks, and I was going to dive in, and they had coconut oil, butter, and all these fats that I was like, so I would cook it, but without the fat. So I was like low fat, still avoiding grains, at low fat, high carb paleo, I managed to do. So even like if you're eating a lot of processed paleo, you're probably getting a lot of sugar and a lot of crap and there's a lot of those, artificial sweeteners being used in the quote unquote paleo products.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And again, I kind of see where we can go with this too, is like we should, here's how if you want to change your life and your health and wellness, stop eating processed foods, period. Stop going out to dinner, eat whole foods at home. Eat vegetables, small berries. You don't want to be eating, 2 apples and 4 bananas every day. It's a lot of sugar. It's too much sugar. Again, sugar gums up the mitochondria, and again, it makes them run poorly. You get more reactive oxygen species, more inflammation, and so on and so forth. But you have to look at food as information, and food is really important. It's one of the joys we have as human beings is eating. And I'm also work in a hospice clinic, and I've seen a lot of that. Food is information for your cells. Food is community. Food is love. Food is memories. Like, we have so many deep ties back to food. There's a couple of my favorite foods. I think they're my favorite foods because it reminds me of, the big family parties that we used to have when I was growing up.
Right.
And so, food.
I've yet to encounter a client whose, emotional happy food is salad. That their childhood memory feel good food is never vegetable based.
Yeah. No, it could be. And it also depends. Here's actually, now that's a good point that you bring up, because, when we start, I don't know. I was the processed food and the sugars. I'm 54 years of age. And so
give me 2 months, I'll catch up.
Okay, good. You look great. I never would have guessed you're my age.
Oh, you're very kind.
It all kind of started about when I was born. The processed food industry came about after World War II. Because during World War II, they had to figure out how to get food across the sea to our European troops and other troops around the world. And they did that. They made processed, long shelf-sustaining life food, whatever. So then all of a sudden they realized, oh my God, this is wow, this is
how
a cash
convenient.
cow for us. Yeah, how convenient, And I once had a nurse at the hospital I work with. She said something very profound. She said, "Convenience is the killer," and it really is.
Yeah.
Going back to food and why you should eat food, and like I'm really blessed. My wife and I love to cook together. If you don't know how to
We
cook,
have that too. Yeah,
you should learn
it's the
how to
best.
cook. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to eat good food, you should learn how to cook, because
And it doesn't have to be fancy. Like when
not at
you're
all.
eating high quality ingredients, you don't need, a 3-hour recipe.
Oh no, absolutely.
Real food tastes delicious, and your taste buds change really quickly.
Absolutely.
Which is the perfect segue into, I want you to share with listeners about your Ancestral Reset program, because to me, it's brilliant, because you handle all the resistances when, it's too hard, I don't cook, all the things, all the reasons why people say they can't start with a paleo lifestyle. So share with us about your program.
Um, Thank you. I've made my program failure proof basically, and it's a lifestyle transformation course. It's not a diet. Again, diets fail, lifestyles don't. And so what I try to do is I get people to seamlessly change their lifestyle. So basically what I've done is I've devised a program. It's a 12-week program, and then there's a continued optimization program that I'm working on afterwards. Um,
Nice.
but basically you get delivered to your house. You get 144 meals. I think they're great. It's paleo meals. It's high quality protein. It's all grass fed. Um, and it's cage free, grass fed chicken, beef, all that stuff. And then I've devised the program so it's high protein, high veggies, and kind of a lower carb. But again, I'm not anti-carb at all. We need
We
carbs.
need carbs.
We
Attaboy.
100% need carbs, and I am not an
Good
anti-carb
carbs, clean
person. Yes,
carbs.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about Ben and Jerry's. That's not what you need.
Or
Hey, but
donuts.
but then again, here I'm also about self-compassion. You know what? If you need to have some Ben and Jerry's once in a while, eat it. It's not going to kill you. It's
Right.
when you eat it every day.
Unless it
Back to
makes you feel sick, that's different.
exactly.
Listen to
And
your body.
yes. So my program is like I've included 144 meals. I include supplements for gut health, sleep, energy, and cognition because those are all pillars of functional health, right? Um, I include a list of Paleo MD approved snacks, and some links that I can give my clients a discount on because I have a Paleo MD store that I sell supplements and snacks. And if anybody wants to see, it's the paleomd.store. Use the code first10 for 10% off. If I don't know if you have a store like that or anything, Julie.
I do, but go to yours.
Oh,
I mean, it's
okay.
not paleo,
Well, yeah,
you probably have more focused for this conversation.
yeah. Well,
And
I'm not
so
again.
I'm
I
not,
want to share like all ships rise with a
yeah,
rising tide, and like I'm not trying to take
I'm
clients, but just check it out, people. And
absolutely. Well, and again, if you're like, ooh, wait, there's an easier way to do paleo or to get started,
yeah,
I say, check out the store for
yeah,
sure.
thanks. And one of the things I tell these people is like, I also institute time optimized eating. Okay, and we had talked about this earlier.
I
I'm
love that.
changing the word fasting. I'm changing the
Hmm.
word time restricted feeding because nobody wants to fast, nobody wants to restrict, and nobody wants to feed. When you say feeding, you think of cows at a trough, right?
Yep.
So we institute time optimized eating, and that is one of the most amazing ways to improve your health. It's I love it. I fast or I time optimize eat almost every day. Like 99% of the time I am not eating for 16 hours a day,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
more. And
And for me personally, what I always try to encourage my clients to do is to listen, again, listen to your body. I once in a while wake up hungry
yeah,
and I'm going to have a really good nutrient dense breakfast. It doesn't happen
absolutely.
often, but I'm not like, oh, no, I'm not in my eating window. My time isn't optimized yet. Like, no, listen to your body. Yes, it takes maybe some time to get used to when you're making changes. But
Yeah.
also, especially those of us who went through chronic illness, found wellness, our first tendency is usually to hold what's working a little too tightly.
Hmm.
And so I just want to remind listeners, that listening to their body, and I love that you said, even for you, it's 99%. Like this is my lifestyle. It's not about perfection and always hitting 100%.
Yeah, funny because you live in Loveland, and Lauren Cordain, he is the guru of the paleo, and he's
Yeah.
from Fort Collins. He's a
Yep.
professor there.
CSU. Yep.
And he is on his website. It's and the paleo lifestyle is like 99% of the time I fast, but on the food, and it's a 90-10 rule. It's an 85-15 rule.
Right.
If you do something 90% of the time, you are going to reap the benefits of it dramatically. And
Right.
so in America, we have it backwards. It's really, really sad. People eat garbage. And
Yeah,
it's not
your
their fault.
side salad is not compensating for the other 90% of your diet. That's for
Exactly.
sure.
And again, I want to tell people that it's not your fault. Like you said, we've been bamboozled. We're being like
Yeah,
sheep led to the slaughterhouse
right,
in the name of corporate greed. Okay. This all goes down to corporate greed, period.
right,
And
right,
they don't care about me. They don't care about you. They care about what's in your wallet. So the lifestyle is do it most of the time. And I one time in one of my, and I also in my program, they have 12 weeks of learning modules and group coaching calls that I run. And one time I just randomly came up with, oh, make it a habit not to have it. Right?
right.
What a great way to live a life. And yeah, you know what? Lay's potato chips, they're awesome. Yes, but you don't eat them every day. You make it a habit not
I
to
don't
have
eat
them
them
every day.
ever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
There
most
are
people don't.
better potato chips. Somebody asked me
Yes.
that the other day because it was a family member, a loved one, and I was kind of dissing on I read the ingredients on their chips and they were like, why would you read the ingredients? They're potato chips. All of them are bad. And I'm like,
Yes.
no, if I'm going to eat a potato chip, it's going to be, cooked in avocado oil and salt, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not going to
Yeah.
have a big list, and I'm not going to eat them every day either.
Exactly.
I love, we're so aligned. My weekly email that went out yesterday was imperfect action for the win, because it's not about perfection, and perfection will get you to stop doing the good things if you're trying to be perfect. And so, I love that you brought up the 90-10 or 85-15. If you're quote unquote on plan, right, honoring your lifestyle 90% of the time, you don't need to do more than that. And that's 90% more than people eating the standard American diet are doing now.
For sure.
So even before you hit 90, you're going to notice improvements in your health.
Yeah,
And I
even
love
if
it.
you change one thing in your life, you can improve your health dramatically. And you talked about perfection, and I have to say that the human body is genius, and we have thousands of redundancies in our body to stay healthy. And there's not much that's perfect in the world. I think the human body is pretty perfect. I mean, we
It
are
is.
amazing, and people should honor what we have. We're lucky that we have this body. We're blessed. I mean, to think about this, what we're actually experiencing here is crazy. I mean, this experience called life is
Yeah,
amazing. And people, one of the reasons I created my program is because I saw in the hospitals and the clinics and like people, when you're sick, life sucks. You don't
it
have
does.
the
Well, it
optimal
gets
life.
smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And that's, this conversation today is to give you knowledge is power. And so we're sharing the knowledge that you have the power to create wellness for yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you.
And only you.
Right.
We talked about book titles. One of my other titles, potential titles in my upcoming book was No One's Got Your Back.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
only you. I mean, in reality, you're born alone and you die alone. And in between, you have support from family, but you are the only person that can control your health, right? And
Right.
it's very important. And
And
I
no
want to go,
matter what you've been told, you can control your health.
yeah. And here's something that really bothers me is like people get a diagnosis of diabetes or autoimmune disease, so on and so forth, these chronic illnesses. And the majority of doctors have never said, hey, you know what? That's reversible.
Right.
You can get rid of type 2 diabetes 1,000,000% easily.
Easily.
In fact, I'm a member of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and they just came out with a position paper that says the treatment goals for type 2 diabetes is complete resolution. It's not
Right.
maintenance, it's resolution.
Why not? I joke. So, in Julie Michelson coaching, I focus on autoimmunity, and at the clinic,
Mhm.
I work with all kinds of people. And I'm like, please send me the diabetics. Like, it's so easy. It's such a quick hit, and it doesn't take a long time once people understand. I once had a client, she has type 1 diabetes. And she was, when she was first diagnosed, they sent her to a diabetes coach, which I didn't realize there was something called a diabetes coach. And now I know why I didn't know about it, because her diabetes coach didn't tell her that she shouldn't be eating oatmeal every day for breakfast.
No, just
And
use
I'm
more
like,
insulin. You'll be
what?
fine.
Yeah, I was like, she couldn't believe, like, her neuropathy got better. She wasn't having to add boluses to her pump, her insulin, she didn't used to be able to sleep through the night because, she was just burning through insulin.
Yeah.
And it was like some of those kind of things, like, again, that's when I get angry. Like, how can somebody be a diabetes coach and not tell you to go low carb? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I
But
mean,
that's a different,
a whole different podcast.
yeah. And I look forward to when an autoimmune diagnosis treatment should equal resolution, right?
I personally have helped people resolve their autoimmune disease.
Of
I mean, I'm
course.
sure so have you. And it
Of
is,
course, yes.
the whole point, the whole plan of autoimmune disease should be resolution. Here's my question for you. You're way more into autoimmune. You're up to your eyeballs more than me, right? So, okay, so as Homo sapiens, we've been evolving 500 to 750,000 years. Okay. Every generation getting fitter, faster, smarter, stronger, living a little bit longer than the one previous. Until the last 50 years, right? And so, and the amount of autoimmune disease has absolutely skyrocketed. It's astronomical. My question to you, being an expert in that field, was there autoimmune disease 15, 20,000 years ago? I'm gonna guess no.
I would say
no.
No. Even when I was diagnosed, which was in the early 2000s, it was still rare. Like, I mean, that's how much it's changed. I remember them saying, and I was in my 30s, oh, you're so young. Well, now somebody in their 30s is diagnosed with autoimmunity. A, it's not rare. B, they're not young. Like, it's not. Same thing, though, before that, about a decade before that, I was working at Nova Southeastern University with autistic children. Autism was rare in the 90s. It's not rare anymore. So if we don't tap the brakes and look up and say, okay, what is going on here?
I like that. Tap the brakes and look up.
Seriously, this is the wake up call. And again, this is why you and I are optimistic that things are changing, because we are having the conversations and people are listening, and it's a process. And one of the most satisfying things in my work is, yes, helping people reverse their symptoms and life get bigger and better again. But really, it's the ripple effect, right? Then their children are growing up eating real food and the healthy paleo lifestyle, and that's how we create change.
100%. Absolutely. And, I tell people that I'm talking to about my program, and do you have children? Do you have kids? Do you have grandkids? Do you want to see them grow up? And here two things. A scary statistic I heard, I don't know what to believe anymore, but by 2030, they're expecting, if it continues the way it's going, that every male child born in the United States of America will have some form of autism, will be on the spectrum.
Well, if you look at what I was just saying, how rare it was back when I was teaching and how common it is now, if that makes sense, if the trajectory continues the way it's going, that will be a fact. And I would add, and I'm just making this up, but logically, almost every female will have autoimmunity as well, right?
Absolutely.
It's time for us to create that change. So you covered so many amazing tips, and really, where can people check out your program?
It's on www.thepaleomd.com. That's my website there. And then like I said, thepaleomd.store. They can follow me on Facebook at the Paleo MD, and on Instagram at the Paleo MD as well.
Perfect. I love consistency
Yeah, I'm
across
trying.
platforms. It makes it so easy.
I'm trying to make it
and
easier
all of
for
this
people.
is going to be in the notes too. But I know
Yeah.
I tend to listen to podcasts when I'm moving, and so
Yeah.
sometimes it's just nice to hear. And they're like, "Oh, okay, that I can remember. I'm going to go check it out."
Yeah.
I know you covered lots and lots and lots already, but we always love to throw you under the bus and ask you to give listeners one action step. What's one thing they can start today to start to improve health?
Oh, that's way too narrow.
I know, it's so hard. It's the hardest question.
Well, I mean, we talked about gluten, dairy, sugar. We talked about fasting. I do want to add that about time restricted, time optimized eating. It's not for everybody. If you have
Thank you.
anorexia, if you have bulimia, history of, if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, it's not for everybody. Or if you have cachexia, which means decreased muscle mass from a chronic disease like cancer,
Right.
or something, or just very, very thin and frail. I would venture to say the number one recommendation, God, it's so hard to just pick one because they're all so, health is multifactorial. The starting point, get rid of gluten.
Thank you. Oh, my favorite.
Stop eating wheat, period.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the number one thing. Okay. And then, try to get rid of dairy, sugar, but stop eating wheat. Okay. And, and read, I mean, I could say and, but I mean, I have so much that I just want to say.
I'm cutting you off. That's
okay.
it.
That's okay. Well, next time.
But you are going to come back because we have so much more to talk about, but I'm going to be excited to have you back on in the fall when you are launching your new book. And
thank you.
We can take that in any of the million directions of the things we like to talk about.
Awesome.
Rob, thank you so much. This was so much fun for me and so much gold for listeners. And again, it's just been such a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you. It was really, really nice to meet you and talk to you and get to know you a little bit more as well. And again, I want to commend you and celebrate you for what you're doing and how you are helping, because you're reaching so many people through what you're doing. And again, this is the grassroots, the great reset that we need is us. It's not, the medical, big pharma, big food industrial complex. We need this. And so thank you. I wanted to celebrate you for that.
Genuinely my pleasure and my mission. So thank you for that. And for everyone listening, remember you can get the show notes and transcripts by visiting inspiredliving.show. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity. Did you enjoy this episode? Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to get a transcript of this and every other episode, just head on over to inspiredliving.show or click on the link in this episode's description. There, you can also find everything we discussed in this episode, including links and information about our guest. You can even send in your questions to be answered by Julie in a future episode. That's inspiredliving.show. Until next time, this is Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, helping you take your power back.